Like, if you were lucky, you got to see like a TV commercial before your friends did. Otherwise, you just, I mean, I remember just opening the newspaper to see what movies existed.
Exactly.
Like, it was like, oh, look at this. This is out. This is a show. Like, I remember being in the movie theater for something and a preview starting and figuring out it was the original teaser trailer for Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I had read the novel, and I remember figuring out what it was because they showed the mosquito and the amber, and I got so excited. I was like, they're making a Jurassic Park movie? Like, you don't get that anymore. Like,
no, and like the buzz cycle, at least, you know, Nova Scotia, maybe not on the pulse. I'll say that. But the buzz cycle went from like, I don't know, 4 weeks. Like, you find out about the movie from a trailer, and then, or from a poster, or from the newspaper.
Yeah.
And then it was out soon. Like, Jurassic Park, like, it wasn't a thing where I was like a whole year like, oh my God.
Right.
Like next year, mark my calendars like, oh, next month, there's a dinosaur movie out.
Yeah.
The first movie I can remember that I knew about in advance, and I don't know how I knew about in advance, but I knew the Turtles movie was coming for a while.
Yeah.
And the whole schoolyard was just, what are they going to look like?
Oh, right. Because they didn't plaster everything with pictures from and spoilers and scenes and sneak previews.
It was them. It was the shadows in the manhole.
Yeah.
So like, until we walked in that theater, I sat down thinking, I wonder what they're going to look like.
A movie I couldn't wait to see, 1984, Gremlins.
Yep.
None of the advertising showed Gremlins.
No, they
It
didn't.
was just the Mogwai. And unfortunately, it terrified me so much in the theater that I had to leave.
Which part was it? Because for me,
It was Mr. Hansen getting attacked in his classroom was so scary that I was like, I'm done.
to me, it was when the Gremlins grew out of Spike's back, because the idea of growths becoming more monsters off a monster, for some reason that was very visceral to me, and I was looking at it like, oh, I had the bubblegum cards because my brother bought them, but this is much more intense than I expected. And which, being this, my brother's 5 years older than me, is a lot of what I went through. I watched Poltergeist on my 4th birthday, and I was terrified of static screens for a decade.
This is the perfect story for you to talk about then, because you were terrified by...
That's why I was trying to make a nice thing, but then you went and said it out loud.
No, but it makes sense. But I was still obsessed with Gremlins. Like, even though I hadn't finished watching it in the theater, I had like a Gremlins birthday party that year, and I had the comic books and the storybooks.
Sometimes back then, one pop culture thing kind of encompassed everything. Like, as soon as E.T. was out, it was like E.T. always existed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone knew what E.T. was. I hadn't seen it, but I felt like I had.
Yeah. No, it's hard to describe, like, because there was no internet, the only way stuff spread was like through word of mouth or through the stores, like just seeing stuff around. How inundated we were by Pac-Man, by E.T., by Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. Like, it was this cultural osmosis.
Yeah, like I had a E.T. figure. I hadn't seen the movie because my parents just hadn't taken me.
Yeah.
But I knew exactly what it was. I knew the story. I knew Elliot, just from commercials and from people talking about it. It was everywhere. And I was like, okay, I'll buy a toy for this. I assume I know enough.
I was so scared of E.T. that
he was an alien.
My mom was terrified of the way the creature looked. I went to go to my parents took us to the theater to see it. I hid my eyes the whole time. My mom cut out, I've told this story to people before. My mom cut out a picture from the newspaper, an article about I think the little person actor who was inside the E.T. suit, I believe. It was this little tiny article, and she put it on the side of the fridge. It had a picture of E.T. on it that was probably the size of your thumbnail.
Okay.
Like a little tiny, just picture in the corner, because it was a little tiny article. I was so terrified of E.T. that I wouldn't enter the house from the door facing the side of the fridge. When we came home, I would actually walk all the way around the house to the front door and wait to be let in, so I wouldn't have to walk by the refrigerator and maybe catch a glimpse of the E.T.
A similar vein, my brother had a poster for the Thriller music video. I don't know how that happened. He put it up downstairs.
Which was an event. Like, the Thriller was an event.
Once again, as soon as Thriller came out, everyone knew what Thriller was.
Yeah.
So he had a picture of the zombies on the wall of the basement. I, for that year, found every excuse to never go down that basement. I lived with my, at the time, late 70-year-old grandmother, who was very diabetic. She's overweight. Stairs were not her friend. I made her go downstairs with me.
Oh, no.
And I feel bad to this day that I made her do that. And she put up with it. She knew what I was afraid of. And I wouldn't say, because I would walk by and avert my eyes from Michael Jackson.
Which is probably smart.
Yeah, good idea.
But Grandma, it's Thriller. It's Thriller night.